Good morning. Good morning, coaches. Happy Tuesday. Come on in. Happy Tuesday, coaches. We are talking about today the age old question that I get all the time, which is should I quit my corporate job before I start my coaching business? That's the age old question I get again and again. So before we get started, come into the chat. Give me a hashtag live if you're watching this with us live in the Facebook group. Give me a hashtag replay if you're catching the replay. As I make sure my microphone works and my sound works, come into the chat. Let me know. We can hear you, girl. That part would be good. As I'm looking down quickly, I'm just going to pop into our Facebook group. Make sure that you guys can hear me and see me. Okay, that looks good. What's up, Amy Force? Good to see you. All right, Jamila, thanks for watching. Okay, you're gonna have to help me with your name. Swad. Give me a pronunciation in the chat. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing your name right. Thanks for joining with us today. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I'm tagging this. So our group of over 3,700 coaches are able to see that we are live every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, so today's topic, should I quit my corporate job before I start my coaching business? As you're coming in, drop into the chat either a hashtag live or a hashtag replay. Let us know. Also, would love to hear where you're watching from. That would be great as well, to hear where you're watching from. And we're going to get into it. As always. Oh, here's one other thing I'd love to know before we get started. We're rolling into the month of April. So we've just finished Q1. We finished January 1st through March 1st. I'd love to hear two things from y'all in the chat. And again, when you guys share this stuff with me, I'm then able to either send you a free resource on the topic, or I'm able to choose what topic I go live on based on your responses. So I'd love for you to drop into the chat two things. One, I'd love to hear your biggest challenge last quarter as it has to do with building your coaching business. What was your biggest challenge last quarter, January through March, as it relates to building your coaching business? Drop in challenge. Just give me a challenge, one of the challenges that you dealt with last quarter as it relates to building your coaching business. I would also then like to hear, as we're starting April here, we're a week in, what is one thing that you'd love to accomplish in your coaching business in the month of April? So by the end of April, if I could wave a magic wand on you, what's one thing you would have loved to accomplish? Drop that into the chat too. You could say goal and then give me your goal for April. Again, by you doing that, I'm either able to pick topics that relate to you personally, or if I've already done the topic, I can send you a free training. All right, for those of you who haven't met me yet in the group, my name is Betty Kemp, a business coach consultant for coaches, marketing and messaging maverick, LinkedIn leader. LinkedIn is my thing. Three-time member of the Forbes Coaches Council, IPEC graduate, ranked one of the top coaches in Denver and then again in Tampa by Influence Digest, and also listed as one of the top 10 business coaches to follow by Life Coach magazine. I'm the founder of the Corporate to Six-Figure Coach Academy, where we help corporate renegades ditch the 9-to-5 and ultimately replace their six-figure corporate income by repackaging their genius into a dream coaching business. Now, a couple quick things. How do we do that? So part of what helps set us apart here, we focus on helping you build high-ticket coaching programs. Why? So you can sell 1 to 2 of them per month to hit your financial target of replacing your corporate income versus burning out, having to sell high quantities of lower ticket programs or digital courses. We also teach you how to do this organically. There's a way to do this organically versus throwing money at Facebook ads or complicated funnels. None of that is necessary when you're first starting out. All right. As always, if you'd like additional coaching support with your business, check it out. There's a link in the copy next to this video where you can hit it to apply for a discovery call with me. What's the point of a discovery call? It's so I can learn about your business challenges and goals. You can ask me any questions, and ultimately we can see if you're a fit for one of our programs. And we have multiple programs. We have the Corporate to Six-Figure Coach Academy. There are ways to work with me one-on-one. There are ways to join our group. There's other programs that we have as well. So that's kind of the purpose of a discovery call is, hey, am I a fit for one of these programs? So we will, I'll ask you some questions to kind of determine, right? Are you a fit? And if so, for which program? And then we go over program and pricing. All right, so if you're interested in learning more about our programs, do be sure to click the link to apply for a discovery call. Okay, that's number one. Number two, very important reminder to share. If you're watching this, you are a member of our community, right? And one of the perks of being a member of our community is you are able to schedule a 10 to 15 minute connect call with me. Okay, what's a connect call? This is not you learning about our programs. It's not a sales call. It's nothing like that. A connect call is simply for me to get to know your goals as it relates to your business and your challenges as it relates to your business. That's the point of a connect call, right? I'm trying to figure out where you are in the trajectory. Why? Because based on what you share, I have a vault of over 100 free trainings, and I will pluck the relevant training or trainings from the vault that are related to the goals or challenges you shared with me, and I'll be able to send you kind of a customized free training based on what you tell me you need. Okay, so that is the point of a connect call, and it's a complimentary introductory call we do to welcome you to our community and really to customize the experience for you. So both of those links are in the copy near this video. So whether you want to learn more about our programs, click the link. We'll go over programs and prices. If you haven't done a connect call with me yet, where I learn more about your goals and challenges and then pick a free training for you, customize the experience, click on that button as well. If you want, you can click on both buttons if you want to learn more about our programs and you haven't had the connect call yet. All right, so that's what those are. So let's get into today's topic. Should I quit my corporate job before I start my coaching business? By the way, this is live, so if you have any questions on this topic, by all means, throw your questions into the chat. That's why I go live instead of just posting the recording. So should I quit my corporate job before starting my coaching business? I hear this question a lot from people who have either received their coaching certification, or maybe they're working through their coaching certification, either way. I receive this question from people who have a calling to coach and a dream to be their own boss. I receive this question from people who are still in their high-paying and highly demanding corporate job, right? They're still in their corporate job. So this is a delicate topic because we want to make sure that when you are taking into consideration both building your coaching business and your corporate job, right, that you are leaving your corporate job once the timing is right for you, right? There's certain factors to consider. So the question on everyone's mind then is, okay, but how do I figure that out? So I want to talk about that today. we're going to cover 5 different things here. So here's what's on the agenda. I'm going to give you the bottom line answer. We're gonna lead with the lead story here. Bottom line answer: should I quit my corporate job before starting my coaching business? I'm gonna give you the answer to that. 2, I want to share part of my story with you on how I transitioned from corporate to coach and my own timing for quitting my corporate job. And that story may not be what you think, may surprise you. Okay, so I'm going to share with you what I went through. And learnings from that. I want to share with you factors to consider in order to determine the right timing for you to quit your corporate job. Okay. We're going to talk about, hey, if you're not ready to quit the corporate job, then when should you start building your coaching business, right? If you're like, listen, I'm not ready to quit yet. Okay, cool. But what's the timing on building the coaching business? When do you start? Okay, we'll talk about that. And then we'll get a little bit into the balancing act, right? If you're in the corporate gig and you're building the coaching business at the same time, we'll touch on that topic as well. All right, so that's the agenda for today. And as always, as I'm going through this, by all means, bring your questions. Interrupt me. Give me the old-fashioned interrupt. Okay, I'm just looking into the chat here to make sure I can see your comments. What's up, Lori? Nice having you. Lori says, I just finished my training. I don't have any clients yet, just building a website. Well, congrats on finishing your training. And yep, next in line for you is, clients, building a website, all that good stuff. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Lori. And Lori, yeah, absolutely, Lori, Connect Call. Here, let me drop the link to both the Connect Call and the Discovery Call in the chat. It should be in the copy near the video. Let's see if I can drop it into the chat, if I can get Facebook to listen to me. Come on now, Facebook. Here we go. Here we go. All right, I'm dropping it into the chat, Lori. There we go. So I just dropped into the chat. There's 2 links. There's a link for the Discovery Call to learn about our programs and pricing. There's a link to the Connect Call so that I can, based on your challenges or goals, share a free training with you. Okay, so Lori, take a look at the link in the chat. And you can absolutely have a Connect Call. Amy shares, one challenge was setting up my group email sequence and the correlating software. Yep, tech. The fun part, yes. And choosing all of the free value to put in it. Accomplished. Amazing, Amy. Congrats. Let's give Amy some love emojis in the comments here. Congrats, Amy. Goal for April is to do my first workshop and start producing videos. Love it, Amy. I'm also starting with pro bono clients this month. Great. Collect those testimonials. Get those testimonials, baby. Love it. All right. Let's get going here. Had to read the chat before I just started going wild here. All right. So let's talk about it. The bottom line. I think you guys probably know what I'm going to say, right? Doesn't make it any easier. But the bottom line answer, should I quit my corporate job before I start my coaching business? Well, from a business consultant perspective, my bottom line answer for you is going to be no. Don't quit the corporate job before you start your coaching business. Don't do it. Why? Because it could feel harder, right? It's like, for some of you, right, it's draining you. It's, maybe you've got a bad boss. Everybody's in a different situation. And wouldn't it feel easier to quit the corporate gig and just say, I'm done and I'm starting my coaching business? Doesn't that sound lovely? From a consultant perspective, I'm going to say no. And the reason is I want you all to make sure. Now, I'm a risk-averse person. Every decision I make, even when I make a lot of decisions where I'm investing a ton of money into my coaching business and into learning and into being coached from a business perspective. Let me be clear. I invest a ton of money into that, but I'm doing it because I'm risk averse, because I think it's riskier to be building a business on my own without any support. That is riskier. Okay, so back to being risk averse and the answer, no, don't quit your corporate job before you start a coaching business, because I want y'all to have, the bottom line is this, you have to decide what's your ultimate goal. What's the ultimate goal? And if the ultimate goal is, I want to run my own coaching business whatever that looks like for you, it's going to look different for everyone, right? For me, it's I want to work from home. I want the freedom. I want to make my own schedule. I want to spend more time with my family. I want to run my own coaching business. I want to create my own schedule, right? If that's the ultimate goal, no matter where you are in that journey, every decision that you make, right, needs to be one step towards that ultimate goal. So the idea is the corporate job is meant to fund you and to fund you to be able to continue to build your business. You are using the corporate job as a way to fund your business, to build your dream, so that you're not going into that kind of stressed out frenzy of, oh, I got to get a client, I have no other source of income, right? Here's the bottom line. If you're going to write something down, write this down. Do whatever it takes to build your dream. Do whatever it takes to build your dream. And part of that may very well be staying in that corporate job until you're ready to take the leap. And that's going to mean while you're in your corporate job, right, you might start working with a business coach. And while you're in your corporate job, remember my 5 steps, 5 C's to build a coaching business, 5 C's to replace your corporate income with a coaching business. While you're in that corporate job, you're going to be doing market research. You're going to choose your niche. You're going to nail your messaging. We're going to look at how to position you amongst your competitors, right? This is all while you're in your corporate job. We're going to build your package, your unique signature methodology, your deliverables. We're going to build this really highly valuable product, right? While you're in your corporate job, we're going to not only get your website ready, we're going to get you ready to launch. So you're launching the right way with enough people being just as excited about building your business as you are, right? While you're in your corporate job, we're going to start getting clients. Yeah, we're going to start getting clients on the side. And now let's get into it. What's the ultimate goal here? Right? What's the from a timing perspective? It's like, Betty, how much of this do I have to do before I can quit? Gosh darn it. So a couple things to consider as far as timing. Okay. And when do I get to quit? One, right, is a financial perspective. Okay. It's going to require some budgeting. It's going to require looking at your personal expenses and your business expenses, which, by the way, you should hopefully be tracking or using a business checking account or a business credit card, so that all of that's going to be, tax deductible, right? Your business expenses. Talk to your tax accountant. I'm not an accountant. But the first thing you got to look at is your budget. The second thing you got to look at is how much you're bringing in with your corporate job. The third thing you got to be thinking about is, how many months do I want to save for my nest egg, if any, right? How many months do I want to save for my nest egg? This is going to look different for everybody. Some people will say, hey, I want to save 3 months. That'll make me feel secure. Some people will say, I want to save 6 months. That makes me feel secure. You have to have that decision. If it's just you with yourself, if you have a spouse, it's with your spouse. Right? How many months do we want saved of income before I feel comfortable taking the leap? The last piece of it is, and this is what I do with my clients, working with my clients. This is what people pay me for, right? Is my goal with my clients is, let's get you not only up and running while you're at your corporate job. I want to see you making on a monthly basis, right? At least 10K consecutive months, if not more, right? Depending on what your financial target is. I want to see you, and this is part of what we work through with my clients. You have to come up with, this is the number, this is the amount of money I want to make per month consecutively, not a one-off. Ooh, I had a cool month, a big sale. Consecutive months. I'm talking about 3 months in a row, 4 months in a row, 5 months in a row. You've got to decide, what is the number I'm going to pick that when I hit this number in consecutive months, I'm going to feel comfortable quitting because I know I have a validated product. It's validated because you're already making that money on the side. Now, by the way, this is also why I teach creating higher ticket packages. Why? Well, if I'm working with a client, let's say I'm working with a client who's in a corporate job. We'll use the easy number. We'll say 100K, right? And they're like, listen, I want to replace my corporate income. Okay. That would be $8,333 per month. Let's round it up to 10K, right? So let's say, and I'm just giving an example here, that for that client, it's like, I'm going to feel comfortable once I know I've created a business that's pulling in $10,000 in consecutive months. Well, guess what? Part of what I help my clients do, one of their packages is probably going to be a 10K package, their VIP package. And then they'll probably have a second option that's about half of that. Why? Because then they get to sell 1 to 2 packages per month to hit their financial target. But Betty, people can't afford things and blah, blah, blah. If that's what you are getting when you go to market, people can't afford things, the economy, blah, 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 then you're doing it wrong. Okay? Then we need to do an audit. That's probably the first thing I'd do with you if you were my client. I would do an audit, right? If you've already started, I'd need to look at who is your target market? Who is your ideal client avatar? It shouldn't be somebody that your ideal client avatar better be somebody that has the urgent problem that you're solving, and your niche better reflect that urgent problem. Okay. And your target market should be somebody that's happy to raise their hand and pay anything in order to solve that urgent problem. So this is why I won't go off on a tangent, but choosing a niche is so important, and not just choosing a niche, but getting your messaging on point. Okay? Positioning, messaging, all that good stuff. So again, I retract. I'll go off on a tangent here. All this, y'all, should be set up before you take the leap. You should be sitting pretty in your corporate job, collecting that monthly or, twice a month paycheck, knowing that as your side hustle, this coaching business, you're selling 1 to 2 packages per month, and essentially validating that there's a market and it's consecutive that you're bringing this in. Okay. So that's part of, how do I safeguard myself? That's just, I'm giving you a piece. When I work with my clients, I have an entire module dedicated to the corporate to coach transition. That's what makes my program unique. We have an entire module dedicated to the corporate to coach transition because there's a lot of steps, right? We like I said, I'm risk averse. So we want to cross our T's and dot our I's. But y'all, you should be working on this while you're still in your corporate job. That's the bottom line. That's the recommendation. Okay? That's the recommendation. What's up, Allie? Validated on the side. Exactly. That's what you'll be doing, lady. Good to see you, Allie. One of our Superstar Academy members joining us this morning. All right. So we talked about the bottom line answer, going back to the agenda here. We talked about factors to consider in order to determine the right timing for you to quit your corporate job, right? And that is going to go when you're like, okay, timing wise, when do I quit? It really should be that you've got your nest egg saved up, whatever you want that to be. We have that discussion. You've created your budget from a personal standpoint, so you know how much you need to survive, right? And we're bringing in, we've validated the market, and we're bringing in a monthly income, 1 to 2 sales that are creating that monthly income on a consecutive basis, so you feel safe. By the way, the other cool thing, as we look at the economy and what's happening in the world right now and all the layoffs, these secure corporate jobs with everything going on out there ain't so secure. So let me tell you, Yet another reason to start working on your business while you're in your corporate job, security. How good does it feel, or would it feel, if the worst was to happen, knock on wood, and you had to leave your job, if your business was already up and running and bringing in a monthly income that replicated or exceeded your corporate job? How good would that feel? Okay, so that's the bottom line. Okay, those are the factors to consider. Now, if you're not ready to quit your corporate job, I'm not ready. Then when should you start building your coaching business? Okay, now let me be really clear here on that question. Okay, when I work with clients and when I talk to you guys, am I telling you, you joined my program. Okay, cool. Go quit your corporate job. Oh, you joined my program. That must mean you're ready to quit ASAP. No, right? I'm not, please don't feel like, well, if I commit to, a coaching business program, then that means I'm committing to quitting my job. Easy. Go easy on that. Okay. The idea is not to, like, the second you join, the academy, my program, or the second you start working on your business, I got to quit my corporate job. Here's what, from a timing perspective, and I'm going to be really real with you. This is me with my consultant hat on, because I've worked with many, many clients. I've done this many, many times. I did it myself. I do it with my clients. At minimum, you need to give yourself a year to get the business up and running. Does that mean it's going to take you a year to get clients? Of course not. There's a way for some of you that joined my workshop and some of you that are now my clients, there's a cash injection system where you can start getting clients right away. Within the first month, within the first 3 months, there's a way to do that, to use your warm network. And I taught that in the last workshop, and that's also available to my clients. Okay. So when I tell you, give yourself at least a year runway, that doesn't mean, I'm not going to make money for a year. No, that's not the idea. The idea is, right, by the end of the year, you've worked on your niche, your messaging, your positioning, module 1. You've worked on your signature method, your coaching package, your deliverables, the value. We've built value into your package and the pricing, module 2. We've created an effective launch plan. The website copy needs to reflect what your ideal client avatars are saying. The website copy, if it's not on point with your market research, we're going to need to scrape it and start over. Okay, website copy is mod 3 is prepare to launch. And you can't just post a website and say, I'm launched. You have to have a strategic launch plan. So mod 3 is essentially building 2 things, a strategic launch plan, and it's also building the back-end systems, right? The back-end systems that are going to be necessary in order for your business to work. I'm talking about my program when I say mods 1, mods 2, mods 3. Mod 4 is a client attraction system. That's another machine. So we built the back-end system, the operational systems. There's a lot of systems to put together, and you want to make sure they work together. And now you got to build a front of house system. That's your client attraction system. That's your marketing. Okay, we've got to build that. Again, that's a machine. Cool thing is, especially for those of you in a corporate job, some of that's automated, some of that's outsourced, right? And you got to learn which is which there. And then mod 5, you got to get comfortable with sales. You got to get comfortable with sales, especially from a mindset perspective. Okay. So just that alone, this is why for me, when I work with clients, it's a 1-year program. I'm doing that intentionally. I've tried different timelines with people, 4 months, 6 months. It's really necessary to have a full year to be able to, at the end of that year, say, okay, I've got consecutive months of income coming in. My back of house systems, my operational systems are set. My front of house systems, my marketing systems are set, and I'm comfortable with sales. And I know exactly what I need to do to make sales. I know what the metrics are. Y'all, give yourself at minimum a year. Okay. So if you're thinking to yourself, I'd love to quit my job by the end of this year. Well, we're already three months in. So you'll want it to start January 1st. Okay. So get on it. And if that's you, book a discovery call. So at minimum, you can learn about what the program is, what the different program offerings are, which one is the right fit for you, and what the pricing looks like. All right. So give yourself at least a year from a timing perspective. If you are wanting to quit your corporate job, give yourself at least a year to build the business in the background. Okay. I do want to touch on my story. How did I transition from corporate to coach, and what was my timing for quitting my corporate job, which may surprise you with the advice I'm giving. Now, I see, Amy, your comment. I didn't have a choice, so I decided to dive in. So, Amy, I think we've talked about this. My story is similar to yours. So I worked in various Fortune 500 corporate jobs. I was in communications, which is part of why now as a business coach, I really lean into marketing, messaging, copy, right? That was my life in the corporate world for about a decade. And I remember, again, this is my story. I'm going to just skip to the part where I had been hopping corporate job to corporate job because each one just didn't feel quite right. There was something about each job that just didn't feel quite right. I came to later realize it was me, right? I was around square peg in a round hole kind of syndrome, where I just didn't, that's not the world I was meant to live in for the rest of my life. It worked for the better part of a decade, but that was not meant to be my legacy, is sitting in a cubicle and going to that was just not meant to be, that wasn't my thing. So anyways, I had landed what I felt to be my dream job. It was at this company that was so cool, this massive, huge company, this great product. I was so excited. I was leading this huge team, and I thought, this is it. I've reached the pinnacle, right? This is where it looked good on paper. And without getting into the details, it was toxic. It was very toxic. And, when a workplace is toxic, you come in and you can feel it. It's in the air. It's like a thickness. And it was making me sick, stressed. I would, hide out in the bathroom stalls sometime and shed a few tears and then get myself together so I could go back to my desk. So again, without going too far down the rabbit hole, I knew pretty quickly, I learned, just because something's pretty on the outside doesn't mean that behind those four walls, it's the same experience. Ultimately, I was laid off from that role, which is interesting how God works, how the universe works, right? I was laid off from that role, right? Would I ever have the courage to do what I'm doing if I wasn't laid off? But I got laid off from the role. Now, luckily, and I know I'm grateful for this, not everybody gets this, but I receives this, I did get a severance. So that was wonderful, lovely. Thank you for that, to that company. And, I had a choice with that severance, whether I was going to use it to kind of just like, okay, squirrel it away and do the safe thing. And you guys know I'm risk averse. I actually used that time, right, after getting laid off to do a ton of research into what type of job would really make me happy. And I'm a researcher, by the way. I'm big on, I read 1 billion books. I mean, part of what I do for my clients is I'm a curator. I'm reading every book. I'm listening to every podcast. I'm taking every business program and I'm curating that for my clients because I love doing that. So at the time at that job, I'm reading and studying all these things. I read a book called The Pathfinder, actually, and it had some quizzes in there. If you're a career coach, check out The Pathfinder. It's a great book for clients. And I did the whole book. All these questionnaires and quizzes, and at the back of the book, based on 3 of the main questionnaires, it combined your answers and it would spit out a list of recommended career paths for you based on like 3 core things about yourself. And for the first time, I saw life coach, and I also saw things like consultant, and I never even heard of, I'm like, a life coach, what is that? So anyways, long story short, I ended up researching about IPEC, International Professional Excellence in Coaching, which is a coaching certification program. And I used my severance to do 2 things: to go to IPEC. I used my severance to go to IPEC, and that was a pretty penny. And then I used my severance to hire a business coach. By the way, and I'm not this expensive, so don't worry yet. But I hired a business coach, my first business coach, and it was scary to make an investment in myself and my business. I paid $30,000 for her group coaching program. The next business coach program I joined was $50,000 for their group coaching program. Again, I repeat, I do not charge those prices, but I'm telling you this just to share with you. It's okay to feel afraid and do it anyway, right? It's okay to feel afraid and do it anyway. I'm risk averse, but if I'm going to invest in something, it's not going to be a quick fix. Let me go on vacation and have fun for a week and then come back to the job I hate. I'm investing in my calling, my dream business, right? So that's what I did. I got laid off and I made that investment. Now, to be clear, I then went and got what I call a bridge job. Anybody know what a bridge job is? Drop it in the chat. Anybody know what's a bridge job? What's a bridge job? Drop it into the chat if you know. And I don't have like a specific like definition, but the way I look at a bridge job is it's a job that's not going to be a huge effort for you to land the job, right? It should be already part of your experience. It's a job that's not going to be incredibly demanding on you, right? If you're in a super demanding job currently, a bridge job is just like it sounds. It's meant to bridge you closer to building your coaching business. So I got a bridge job. It was another corporate job, but the company culture was more laid back. It was in a different industry that wasn't as intense as the industry I was in. I didn't have to lead a huge team of people. I became an individual contributor. And I remember my boss telling me at a transitional job, exactly. And I remember my boss, when I was interviewing, telling me that she would leave every day at 3 and again, not to assume I could do what my boss could do, but I was looking for clues that, this is going to be the kind of job that I can have the space to breathe and go home at a decent time to work on my business on the side. I'm like, I'm not going to do another demanding job that's going to suck the life out of me. I'm going to take a bridge job that's going to give me more breathing room. I can leave work earlier to work on my business. I don't have to think about work over the weekend, right? And so I took a bridge job. And during that bridge job, I was building the heck out of my coaching business on the side. And that is how I hit 6 figures my first year. I was a career coach for my first year. That's how I hit 6 figures my first year, was by doing the work on my business while I was at that bridge job and hiring a business coach, right? So I wasn't wasting my time on things that weren't going to get me the ROI. Okay. So a little bit about my story there. I want to leave you with this, how to balance the course. So here's the next thing, right? Betty, I'm in this corporate job and it's sucking the life out of me. How do I even balance doing that plus building a coaching business, right? Again, this is part of what I teach in my program. Literally, the program, Module 0, is the corporate to coach transition, right? This is what I teach. And one of those first things we do with our clients that are like suffocating in their corporate jobs is we do an audit, right? We do an audit of the time they're spending in their corporate job. I actually give them an auditing tool, and we really do a deep dive audit into how they're spending their time in their corporate job and their personal life. Why? We're creating space for both self-care and we're creating space to build your coaching business. Okay, so we're going to look at your corporate job and we're going to figure out, how do you actually spend your day? We're really going to go through that bit by bit, and we're going to look at what parts of your day can we automate, eliminate, streamline, outsource, delegate, and then there's certain things that have to be you. But believe me, right, when you take a deep dive and you really look closely with a magnifying glass, that's what we help our clients do, there's a way to create space, right? And then learning your boundaries. And then learning how to say, right, when a boss keeps piling things on you and you're like, but Betty, I can't say no. There's other ways to respond, right? There's other ways to say, hey, I've got a list of this, boss, no problem, I'll take that. But here's my list of priorities. Would you like that to go up to priority number 1 and for this priority to come down? Can we extend the deadline on this thing so I can focus on this, right? Instead of just, yes, pile it all up on my desk. So this isn't something you learn overnight. This is part of what we teach our clients so they can create that space. All right. I hope this was helpful for you all today. It was great to see everyone. Drop a comment below. Would love to hear, what is your biggest takeaway from today's lesson? Drop a comment below. What was your biggest takeaway from today's lesson? Would love to hear that. Your biggest takeaway. Every time you come to one of these calls, I want to hear, what's your takeaway? As always, don't forget, book a discovery call with me to educate yourself on the different programs that we offer. The different programs, we offer different programs. Each program has different pricing. There's different durations. There's one-on-one, there's group. So book a discovery call if you want to learn about what options are there and which option would be a good fit for you. Book a connect call if you haven't yet had a private call with me as a member of my community, right? It's like a 10, 15-minute call. Me getting to know your challenges and your goals so I can customize this experience for you and share a free training with you from my vault based on what you're specifically wanting to accomplish right now in your coaching business. And feel free to book both calls if needed. All right, y'all, have a wonderful Tuesday. I'll be back here Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Allie says, setting up my non-negotiable CEO Sunday. I love that, Allie. CEO Sunday, yes. Chunk of time to work on my business has been a game changer. I love it, Allie. That's why you are a Superstar Academy member. I love it. And I'll be talking to you soon, lady. All right, guys. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye, y'all.